Sitting on the park bench, eyeing little girls with bad intensity. Hey, Aquila, drying in the cold sun, watching as the pretty Peggy.
Mega Man has defeated Dr. Wily in his quest for world domination 6 times, finally capturing him and putting him behind bars on the 6th attempt, closing out the Mega Man series on the NES. But it continues on the Super Nintendo with Mega Man 7 released in 1995. Before being captured, Wily had built 4 robots designed to become activated and find him in the event that he would be captured. Since Wily hadn't contacted them in 6 months, they became active and stormed the city to bust Wily out. And like always, it's up to Mega Man to save the day. The classic Mega Man formula stays intact. He'll face off against 8 Robot Masters in the order of their choosing, taking them down and stealing their weapons before heading on to the castle stages afterwards, but some things have changed. First off, you won't be choosing 8 Robot Masters to start the game off. In fact, you won't be choosing any Robot Masters to start the game off. You'll be thrust right into a short intro stage to set the game's story up, and after you beat that, you'll have 4 robots to choose from. Once they're done, you'll get an interlude stage, if you will, and then the next 4 Robot Masters come into play. Now, I understand that they're trying to make the story a little more 3-dimensional by having cutscenes after you get halfway through the robot roster, but I really think that they could have stuck with 8 robots right from the beginning. You can still have the cutscenes after you get through the first robots, no matter which ones you beat. Hell, that's exactly what they did later on with the 8-bit Mega Mans 9 and 10, so just nix the interlude stage and carve out the one part of the game where Bass shows up in the second half of the game to prevent inconsistency, work it into a cutscene later or something like that, and then you can have all 8 Robot Masters to keep the story as deep as it was anyway. Now, why do I give so much of a shit about the 8 Robot Masters? Well, for one thing, I think it makes finding the weaknesses of each Robot Master too easy. With less to choose from, it'll take you a lot quicker to find it. It takes a lot away from having the freedom to select any level you want and create a sequence to your liking. I remember in my NES Mega Man walkthroughs, I would get a ton of comments from people expressing the order which they would take, and there would be a ton of different combinations, especially in Mega Man 2. With Mega Man 7, the options have been limited, and it's pretty cut and dry as to which order you should take since the weakness loop goes around to all 8 Robot Masters still. Anyway, you'll still have the Rush Coil to start the game, and Rush Jet can either be found or bought at the store. I'll explain the store later. There's also a Rush Search adapter now, where Rush will dig into the ground and pull up little trinkets for you, or perhaps nothing useful at all. It essentially replaces Flip Top, who now runs the store. Beat returns, but this time instead of tearing shit up, he'll save you from falling down a pit. You can buy him at the store and keep up to 4 beats stored. So the store I was telling you about is the shop you can access by pressing select at the stage select menu. Flip Top seems to run the shop, and his Handyman Auto puts together various power-ups you can buy by using the bolts that you pick up throughout the game, which are essentially money. Each part costs a certain amount of money, or bolts. There's extra lives, energy tanks, weapon tanks that fill up all your weapons, special tanks that fill up both your weapons and your energy, beat, or an exit item that will let you leave the stage of a Robot Master that you've already beaten. Auto's got a few screws missing, self-admittedly, and he needs a particular piece called the Hyperbolt to fix him up. Once you find it, all items costs will be cut in half, and you'll also be able to buy additional items like the Rush Jet and Search, the Energy Equalizer, which will fill up your lowest weapon whenever you pick up a weapon capsule, and the Rocket Buster, which you can only use if you have the Super Adapter. The Super Adapter can be acquired if you pick up the 4 icons spelling out Rush. One of each is in the first Robot Master stages. Getting the Super Adapter gives you the jetpack that was used in Mega Man 6, and the Rocket Buster gives you a powerful punch attack. The only thing that sucks about this jetpack is that you can't slide, which is understandable since the adapter is too heavy, so that makes sense. But unlike in Mega Man 6 when you had complete control of yourself, this time Mega Man automatically flies up and forward whichever direction he is facing, so he can't fly straight up or get precise angles. You have to manipulate it a little bit more, making the control pretty choppy for this adapter, but otherwise the controls are good. The graphics are also very impressive. I mean, it's hard to compare them to the NES games because the console is so much more advanced, but this is really what Mega Man on SNES should look like. My only real gripe in this area is that Mega Man's sprite seems a little too big. It seems like it's a little easier to bump your head with those little ceiling parts that come in. It's not a huge problem, but it's just something I would have tweaked. The soundtrack is pretty decent. Even though it's in 16-bit format now, you can definitely hear that it's a fitting Mega Man soundtrack. But honestly, it probably ranks pretty low if you rank all the Mega Man soundtracks, but that's just my opinion. One of the game's interesting little Easter eggs is by holding B and selecting Shade Man. You'll hear a song from Super Ghosts and Ghouls instead. I hardly ever do this though because Shade Man's theme is by far my favorite. So the intro stage starts off with Otto driving Mega Man and roll through the city to transport Mega Man to do battle with the robots that Wily is unleashing upon the city. Otto, who is a bit of a fucking knucklehead, initially hands Mega Man a hard hat to wear on his head instead of his proper blue helmet before changing his mind. Mega Man finds Dr. Light, who tells you that Wily's robots are covering his escape. Wily shows up in his trademark spaceship, taunts Mega Man, and takes off. So now it's on to find him and take him down. You'll battle a couple of hard hats and some of these guys, nothing to worry about, just a little warm-up to get you prepared for the game. A mini-boss comes up real quick, a humanoid steamroller hybrid that runs over a few hard hats. What the hell's your problem? They're on your side, dumbass. He'll send his rolling mohawk at you. It'll come up low and then return to him up high. So just jump over it and let it pass by overhead while firing at his head. Charge up the Mega Buster while making your jump so you can do more damage when you attack. He'll dismantle, and then right after that you'll meet Bass, who immediately starts shooting at you. He'll just stand in one spot, jump straight up into the air, and shoot here and there. Jump between his lasers and fire at him. After wearing him down, Bass stops fighting and introduces himself and his dog Treble, claiming that he has been fighting Wily, is impressed with your abilities, and determines that you don't need his help, and then just takes off. Well, thanks a whole pantload, buddy. It wouldn't hurt to form a team. So now it's on to the Robot Master Select screen where you can choose one of 4 robots. Start out with Burst Man. These detonators are triggered when you step on them and the 3-second countdown begins. Always be sure you're away from the explosion. Retreat if you have to. When you get here, use the Rush Coil to get a jump up here onto this platform for an extra life. And if you place Rush on the edge of the platform, you can make your way back to this side because underneath these bombs is an E-tank. Then you'll end up in this pool of dirty water. Shoot these globes from a distance because they explode. Get this bomb out of the way and use Rush Coil to get up here for an extra life. Be careful when jumping and shooting at these hard hats. The spikes in the ceiling are instant death, especially in this narrow spot right here. Tap the jump button and take your time if you're not lining up right. Then you'll fight this crab mini-boss. He fires 3 waves of plasma shit and then a few bubbles. Jump over the plasma and shoot through the bubbles, then watch out for its charge, jumping back over him as he hops back across. Just be careful of the spiked ceiling. The spikes explode and then you stop floating up. Lean more toward the left side as the right side will have some spiked ceilings. The left side has more of the exploding globe variety. You're better off weaving your way between them without attacking. The explosion will almost definitely hurt you. Let the water level rise and then slide in. You'll float and avoid these spikes below. Then you'll run into the disappearing blocks that all Mega Man veterans are accustomed to. The third block will have one pop up over it, so jump straight up or across from the second one and then continue the rhythm onwards. Float across these spikes when the water level is high. Let it raise here to give you easy access to the R icon. Burst Man lies ahead. He attacks with small bombs that he scatters across the floor. There's always a safe spot, so stand there. He'll fire off these slow-moving bubbles that'll trap you and send you up to the spiked ceiling. Jump in between them and you'll have to shoot your way out of them if you happen to get caught. And then there's these lighter colored bubbles that'll bounce you around. These you can shoot through, the trap ones you can't. Then there's these larger bubbles that rise from the floor, trying to push you into the ceiling. Try to hop off them right away. Charge up your Mega Buster while jumping between these bubbles and fire when you get a clear shot. Repeat the process until he's dead. You'll get the Danger Wrap weapon from him, which is an explosive bubble of sorts that can also trap some enemies inside, which you can push around sometimes. Next, select Cloud Man. In between a lot of these platforms, this guy will pop out once you get close enough to the edge, so don't jump across these platforms until you've shot them down. This flock will fly downward away from you and then charge at you once they level off with you or if you attack. So shoot at the lowest one and the rest will pass above you. When you get here, use the Rush Coil to get onto this platform to get an extra life. Then there'll be a small run where you can't see any of the platforms outside of a small radius from where you're standing, although the enemies are in plain sight. Kill anything that moves, walk slowly, and when you get to an edge of the platform and you can't see beyond it, do a quick jump and retreat so you can see what's up ahead, then jump. These birds will drop eggs, hatching several of its young. The Danger Wrap will crack these eggs in one shot, although the little birds give you an opportunity for some goodies. Sniper Joe returns. His visor will flash before he pulls his shield away to fire, and then he'll jump around a bit too. In both cases, he's vulnerable. If you need some energy after battling him, take the right ladder to get an energy capsule, otherwise just go left and move on. A ladder hangs from the ceiling here. If you take the rush coil up to climb it, Proto Man will appear and tell you that your weapons can take you to secret locations, particularly that the flame weapon can be used in the woods. Remember that later. Here you meet these fan fucks that go from suck to blow. If they're sucking you in, it's more difficult to kill them because you'll be continuously turning around to retreat and turning back to shoot. It's much easier to just wait for him to start blowing you before you fire at him. Damn, that definitely came out wrong. Cloudman is up ahead, and you'll notice the platform drop off on the edge, leaving you an instant death pit. There's one on the other side too, making this the widest battlegrounds for any Robot Master to date. Cloudman hovers around, absorbs some lightning, and fires at you, and the debris scattering across the floor. He can also summon a storm that can push you off the edge if you don't pull a Bob Seger and run against the wind. The idea is to trap him in the danger wrap. He'll fall on his ass and then go back to the lightning attack. The best way to dodge the lightning is to stay close to him until just before he fires, then slide away and jump as soon as the lightning hits the ground to avoid the debris, and then hit him with the bubble. When he dies, you'll get the Thunderbolt, which fires off a projectile of electricity, and you can also use it to power up some machines, some of which you'll find in the next Robot Master stage, Junkman.